Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to breakfast and the class. Breakfast today is dedicated in loving memory of Abraham Megiddish, Alav Shalom Lilu Nishmatem, Avraham Lilu Nishmato, Avraham Menhuta, sponsored by his sister Tamara Megiddish. Rabotai, we also want to say and wish condolences to the Queen of England, whose husband passed away. Prince Philip died this morning, from what I understand. Or maybe it was late last night, I don't know. I woke up this morning to the news. And these are people who have welcomed the Jewish people and have made England a safe haven for Jewish people for a very, very, very long time. And as well during the war, the actions of the King of England were instrumental in ensuring that British troops stayed on in the fight against the Nazis. And on the day after Yom HaShoah, it's important to be able to show and to appreciate and to say Hazak Baruch, and as well in this case to wish our condolences to the royal family of England. And not that I assume that they listen to the morning class online, but that we have to do our part in wishing condolences and nechama to the family after this passing. My friends, I wanted to share with you a beautiful idea from the pasuk. Vayomer Moshe el Aharon kirav el hamizbeach. And Moshe says to Aharon, kirav, approach et hamizbeach, the mizbeach. It sounds like Moshe had to encourage, cajole Aharon to come close to the mizbeach. And what is the meaning behind this hesitation in Aharon that Moshe needs to convince him to overcome? So Rashi, quoting the Torah Kohanim, says something fabulous. Shehaya Aharon bosh v'yareh. Aharon was embarrassed, v'yareh, and he was fearful. He was hesitant to approach the Mizbeach. Why? Because of the fact that when the Jewish people saw that Moshe was not coming back, they came to Aharon. They said, build us an idol. Aaron's trying to delay them. He says, oh, bring me the gold, and then he throws it in the fire, and then this crazy thing happened, and from that emerged the golden calf that we all talk about. So Aaron had a part to play in the Jewish people worshiping Avodah Zarah. He felt, how could I now, a person who has that blemish, who has that stain on my record, how could I approach the Mizbeach? I want to share as well that the Torah Kohanim says that Shehaya ro'eh et hamizbeach ketavnit shor. He saw the Mizbeach almost as in the shape of an ox, of a shor, of a bull. Some people say it means physically, that the corner of the Mizbeach has the bits that stick out. They're like the horns of the Mizbeach. So it reminded him of the sin that was in front of him. And other people say other things. Now let's deal with these concepts in two different iterations. The first iteration is that when he looked at the Mizbeach and it had these two little bits sticking up, that reminded him of a shor. Wow, minen luen. They say if someone, has something on their mind, right? Then there's nothing you could do to make them not think, see that thing in everything they go. In fact, there's a test called the Rorschach blot that they use in psychology, where they show a person a bunch of different blots and images of nothing, and they ask the person, what do you see? The person will say, I see a monster, I see a dollar bill, I see a monster taking a dollar bill, right? The thing that a person sees is what's going on in his mind, okay? So Aharon is someone that sat with the sin that he had done, with the mistake, however small it may have been according to his level, the sin that he made a mistake, it was always on his mind. So much so that he looks at a mizbeach that has two pointy bits at the end, and he sees a shor. Beautiful lesson in how the tzaddikim carry with them their, like it says by David HaMelech, chatati, negdi, tamid, they engage in teshuvah all the time. But there's also deeper ideas here as well. The representation of the Mizbeach is represented by a shor, but we're not going to get into that. Rabotai, Moshe senses that Aharon is embarrassed. He feels, Mabisir, how could I be the one bringing the korbanot bringing the sacrifices. 2 minutes ago, I had this whole embarrassing saga. It's this stain on my record. He was embarrassed. And Moshe says to him, Kirav el mizbeach. Go close. You need to do this. Amar lo Moshe, lama atabosh. Why are you embarrassed? Why are you hesitating? Likach nivcharta. It was for this you were chosen. This is your chosen job, your chosen mission. And the Sefarim all ask the same question. What does it mean that Moshe Rabbeinu was telling Aharon, don't be embarrassed, you were chosen to be the Kohen? Those two things are not relevant. Number one, I have this job, that's true. God appointed me, gave me this job, but also I'm embarrassed because I feel unworthy. I made this terrible mistake. How could I be the right person? And there's many different answers. I'm aware of at least 5, 6 different approaches to answer this question. And I would like to perhaps focus on one of the approaches in this idea. Lama atabosh. Why are you embarrassed? Lekach nivcharta. For this you were chosen. The Imre Emet writes, he quotes the Sefer, he quotes the Maharchu, the Reb Chaim Vital, he quotes the vilnagan, where he illustrates this concept that every single person, they visit this world for a very specific purpose. They are here to accomplish a job. And while every Jew has to do every mitzvah, they need to practice everything that they can to live the right way, ultimately the key to that person's Gan Eden, to them fulfilling their destiny, is not just in the random achievement of mitzvot, even to very high levels, but it is the specific achievement of the mitzvah, the refraining from an averah, that this person was sent to this world to reveal that portion, to be that piece of the puzzle in Kvod Shamayim, in the honor of heaven. Okay? So the Chachamim ask, if I was sent to this world to achieve this one singular mission, that's what I was supposed to do, and anything else that I do in my life is beautiful, but really isn't the point, okay? It's kind of like booking the nicest hotel room, and you spend all your time talking about the finishes, this lamp, these pillows, these blankets, everything's great, but you don't have the key. It's gorgeous. You prepared a Gan Eden forever, amazing, but you don't have the key. You can't get in because you didn't do the thing that you came here to do. You didn't do your sole mission and purpose. So the vilnagan and the Maharchu asked, so what is a person supposed to do with that? How do I know what my mission was? And you should just know, back in the day when we had a Kohen Gadol that had access to the Urim V'Tumim, people would go and they would ask the Kohen Gadol, what am I supposed to focus on? What do I need to work on in this world to be able to fulfill my mission? What do I do? And the Kohen Gadol would tell them, using the Urim V'Tumim, you tell them what to do. Or a Navi, prophet. Unfortunately, today, Judaism, like we say, Judaism is a non-profit business. We have Chachamim, but prophets we don't have anymore, no Nevi'im anymore. So what's a person supposed to do to be able to tap into their life's mission, their Yi'ud, like the Sefarim and the Chachamim call it? What do they do to be able to tap into that? And not that you lived your whole life and you need to come back again because you didn't manage to sort out that one thing that you needed to work on. So the Chachamim, the Imre Emet, others, they all say something magnificent. They say God left us a breadcrumb trail. Remember in Hansel and Gretel? A breadcrumb trail teaching you how to get back home. You don't have a Navi? I got you. You don't have a Urim V'Tumim? I got you. All the person needs is a little bit of quiet, a little bit of introspection, and a little bit of honesty. Look at your life. What are and what is the most difficult thing for you to do? That's the thing that you came here for. The Chafetz Chaim brings an unbelievable mashal. He says, sometimes you go to war. Back in the day, war was very obvious, right? You had a line of soldiers with muskets or with arrows. Other line of soldiers with muskets or arrows. They ran at each other, they killed each other, and the last people had the last man standing at the end, they were the ones that won. That's what war was. But today, and war is much more complicated. You go into a city, You don't know where the headquarters are. It's hidden somewhere. How do you know where the battle is? And the Chafetz Chaim used to say, he said, look for the place that they're guarding the hardest. Where's a place where there's snipers on the roof, where there's a tank at the front door, where, there's helicopters flying overhead? Because if this place is so strategic, and it's so important that they need to guard it with this level of security, you know that this is what they're afraid to lose. The Yetzer Hara is no different. He's happy to let you learn this Gemara, happy to let you do this, happy to let you have shalom, but he won't let you have a good relationship with your kids. He won't let you fulfill the mitzvot, ben adam lechavero. He lets you do everything, but he doesn't, he don't let you do tzedakah. Tzedakah, Rabbi, I gotta tell you, that's my button. That one's hard for me. If that's the hard one, that's the one you came here for. That's what the Chafetz Chaim says. That's what the Imre Emet says. So they carry on and they say something so beautiful. They say that Moshe Rabbeinu was communicating to Aaron. He said to him, you're worried, you're embarrassed, you're hesitant to approach the Mizbeach. This specific thing, Harezeu siman shelekach nivcharta. This is your job now. If this is so hard for you to do, then this is what God chose you for. He chose you to overcome this mistake that you made. By the way, it helped me understand something very, very powerful. There's two instances in the Gemara where I was left flabbergasted. When I say there's two instances in the Gemara that left me flabbergasted, I mean two that I'm going to share with you in this direct moment. There's millions of other instances that left me flabbergasted in the Gemara. It's not very easy studying the Gemara, okay? But there's two instances, two stories. Story number one is Yehuda. The story of Yehuda seems fascinating. Whole story with Tamar, it seems very inappropriate. What happened? The Gemara says, Malach dechafo. He was pushed by an angel. It was a guy out of his free will choice to be able to do what he did. Same thing we find David HaMelech. Anyone that says David HaMelech chata, ena ela choteh, ena ela to'eh, he's only making a mistake. And my question is, in all these cases where the Gemara seems to say that the person had free will choice taken away from them in that sin, how does that fit with Judaism? I don't understand. The minute you take free will out of the equation, the whole system of Judaism crumbles. The whole point is for us to be able to choose to do the right thing or to not choose, and then to live with the consequences, coming closer or moving further from God. And the answer is, my friends, it doesn't say anywhere that every individual situation that a person goes through in life, every one of them is a free will choice. It says that we're here to enact free choice. There's lots of things that we don't have choice in. And sometimes Borei Olam wasn't testing Yehuda with the test of Tamar. He was setting the table with the test of Tamar to test Yehuda with his response. Sadeka mimeni. She was right. Yehuda admitted publicly that he was wrong. That was the test. What was the test of David HaMelech if this wasn't a sin? The answer is, on whatever level it was. But the answer is, my friends, it was for David HaMelech to say, after being chastised by Natan HaNavi, to say, Chatati, I made a mistake. Unlike Shaul, who when Shaul made a mistake, what happened? He couldn't, no, it's the people, metavatzon, I thought this, I thought that. Okay? So Rabotai, this concept that the most difficult things that we encounter in our lives, this is what you were made for, this is what you were born for, and everything else is in many ways there, the Yetzer Hara is there happy to distract you with all these other things. Even mitzvot, he doesn't mind losing that battle, because if he loses this for him is the war. Clear? According to this, I understood the words of the Mishnah in a very different light. The words of the Mishnah go as follows. Rabbi Yochanan tells, he teaches, Im lamadeta Torah harbe, if you learned a lot of Torah, al tachzik tova la'atzmecha. Don't feel that great about yourself. Al tachzik tova la'atzmecha. Why? Interesting. Listen to the words now that we've said these words today so many times. Ki lekach notzarta. You were created for this. So you read the Mishnah, you think, okay, Why are you being proud? This is what you got to do. But now we understand something very different. Im lamadta Torah harbe. This is my chidush. I hope it's emet. If you learned a lot of Torah, what does that tell you? That Torah learning for you is relatively easy. You learned Torah harbe. Im lamadta Torah harbe, al tachzik tova la'atzmecha. Don't feel so great about that. Ki lekach notzarta. What does it mean that for this you were created? Not what we said before. Don't feel great about that because anyway, this is what you. Lekach notzarta, it goes on the middle sentence. You learned a lot of Torah. Al tachzik tova la'atzmecha was the purpose of your creation. The purpose of your creation was to learn a lot, which was easy, and then to not feel so great about it, not to be so arrogant about it, to maintain humility. So in our brains, we think the job was learning, and I just have to make sure that I wasn't humble. But that's like an add-on, an addendum to the main job, which was learning. And maybe now we're learning something very different. If that was easy, that wasn't the job. The arrogance was the test. The learning, that was God making it easy for you, just setting the table so that you'd have a free will choice to make. Rabotai, the Yetzer Hara's greatest weapon is sleight of hand. The hand moves faster than the eye. He makes you think that the job is one thing and the job is really something else. I remember once putting together a bike for one of my kids. And they were going to come home at the end of the afternoon, and we wanted it to be ready for them. So I'm trying to put it together very quickly. Baruch Hashem, Jewish people were very blessed with a lot of things. Carpentry and putting things together and building things, not necessarily one of them, right? But I'm trying to get the bike together. I'm following the instructions. Anyway, I'm spending all this time putting the decals on the bike, the little kind of strings coming out of the side of the thing. I got the bike, looks beautiful. But it's getting closer and closer, and what I forget? I haven't yet put together the brakes. Beautiful kid's bike. That's going to get them killed. Yeah? Sometimes you get so caught up in the stickers, in the shiny, that you miss the whole point. So Rabotai, if ever there was an important thing to do, it is to take stock of our lives and to ask ourselves, it's true, I'm investing a lot of time, effort, energy, money into Judaism. Is it in the right part? Could you imagine after 120, you spent so much time in Torah and mitzvot, just not the bit that you needed to do? What a shame that would be. So a little introspection, a little bit of quiet, and a little bit of honesty, and I think we can uncover the journey that we're supposed to be going on. Ki lekach nivcharta, you were chosen for this, to overcome this story. Ki lekach notzarta, you were created for this. Each person is created for a different thing in this way. There was once a baby camel that sat with its mother, and the baby camel says to the mother, she says, I don't understand, why do we have these hooves? And the mother says, oh, because of the shifting sands and the dune, in the desert, you have, okay. Then he asks, the pause. Then he asks, why do we have these humps on our back? And the mother says to the child, she says, well, we have these humps because we have to travel long distances across the desert. There's no food, there's no water, so we store sustenance in these humps that when we can't eat, we can't drink, we could draw energy, we could draw koach, power from those things in these long journeys, across the desert. Any more questions, my daughter? And the baby camel says to the mother, yeah, and why is it that we have these long eyelashes? And he says, well, in the sandstorms in the desert, it's very difficult for the sand gets in the eye, so these lashes are long in front of the eyes so it can kind of attract and catch the dust before it gets to the actual eyes to bother us. And the baby, this young camel is shaking its head, and the mother says, sweetheart, are there any other questions that you have? And the camel says to its mother, what the heck are we doing in a zoo in New Jersey? There are a lot of things that God creates an animal or a human with to be able to fulfill a specific mission. And there are many times that in that mission, a person finds themselves or takes themselves to a place where the most important elements of what and how they were created never even get used. What an incredible opportunity it is when we read about someone like Aharon who's hesitant, to recognize that that hesitancy can only create clarity for us in our lives and a much greater chance of success of hitting a grand slam in our own spiritual journeys on the face of this planet. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.